All right, I want to thank you for logging on to CoachPraterSaid.com. This particular lesson is entitled Dating Your Temptation. Now, I'm going to go as slow as possible so that you can take some really good notes, and I want you to pay really, really close attention. So I know you've seen this on my different social media platforms, and I know you've probably asked the question, what is a temptation? What is dating your temptation? Well, I'm going to take you through a short journey so that we can draw some clarity so you'll get a little bit better understanding of what dating your temptation really is. Now, I want you to write something down, okay? I want you to write down your celebrity crush. Without a second thought, the first person that comes to mind, I want you to write down your celebrity crush. I don't know if it's Idris Elba. I don't know if it's Channing Tatum. I don't know if it's Barack Obama. I'm not sure who your celebrity crush. Someone that you see on TV, and every time you see this person, they just give you this kind of warm and tingly feeling on the inside. Write that person's name down. Now, I'm going to ask you this question, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Okay? The person that you have written down right now, have you ever met or dated anyone that looks remotely close to that person? 9 times out of 10, the answer is probably going to be no. So that means you have yet to meet and date your temptation. What is dating your temptation? Dating your temptation is simply this. That feeling that you felt when you wrote that, just simply writing that person's name down, that feeling that you felt, that's the warm and fuzzy feeling that you should feel if you were connected to the person of your dreams. Okay? Now, that's from an exterior perspective. That person looks a certain way, they carry themselves a certain way, they walk a certain way. That is your temptation. Now, if you haven't dated, or if you haven't met or dated anyone that looks remotely close to the person that you've written down, then I want to challenge you with this thought. You probably have settled, especially if the relationship hasn't worked out, or now you're an ex to this particular individual or these individuals because you didn't stick to your temptation. Now, of course, we're only starting with an exterior because I want you to really, really think about what I'm talking about. You look like someone. I know a lot of you that are watching this video, somebody has told you, oh, you look just like this person, or you look just like this celebrity, and you probably say, oh, I do, or no, I don't look like that person, but in their eyes you do. So when I tell you to write your temptation down, it's because there's something about that person that you wrote down on that piece of paper that you actually like. They make you feel a certain way. Every time you see them on television, every time you go to a concert or whatever your temptation, whoever your temptation is, there's a certain feeling that you feel when you see that person. Now, I'm not talking about that particular individual because that would be a little bit far-fetched. I'm talking about someone that has that person's demeanor, that has that person's charismatic attitude, that has that person's skin tone, hair type. That is your temptation, at least from an exterior perspective. Now, I'm going to give you a moment. I want you to write down 5 things, interior, we're going in the inside now, interior components of your temptation. I want you to write down 5 things that you absolutely would love to have. Now, before you start, I want you to think about it like this. If I was to tell you that whatever you write down, I don't care how crazy it may seem to other people, this is what you want and what you desire in a relationship, and that person that you wrote down, I want you to write down those 5 things, and if I told you that you could absolutely have those things, what would you write down? Now take a moment and write those things down, 5 of them. I mean, do you want them to be faithful? Do you want them to be romantic? Do you want them to be very sexual? Do you want them to be very religious? What do you want? I want you to write those things down, okay? Now you can always come back to them. You can have your list 100 things long. It's up to you. But I wanted to show you something. If you haven't dated anyone that because when you're thinking about your internal components of your temptation, those are character traits that this person has. Okay? When I said being faithful, when I say being romantic, everybody's not faithful and everybody's not romantic. Everybody's not attentive. Everybody doesn't share the same religious values as you do. So that means, the Bible even speaks of it and says, how can 2 walk together unless they agree? Well, you guys have to agree. If you're a Muslim and they're a Christian, then you might want to write down like-minded religion. If you're a Christian, write down a Christian. If you're a Muslim, write down Muslim. If you're a Buddhist, you should date a Buddhist. Because you don't want somebody to pull you out of what you love and what you desire. The worst thing in a relationship, one of the words that I just despise is sacrifice. Sacrifice means something has to die. I don't want anything to die. And the person that I'm dating, I don't want anything to have to die for us to be together. That's too much to me. That's too much. Compromise, perhaps. I don't want you to have to sacrifice character or sacrifice something that you've been doing for years before you met me, and now you have to sacrifice those things because I don't like them. When you can just be patient and be with somebody who actually like those particular things. That will make so much more sense, right? Okay, so those 5 things that you jotted down, and now think about it. Now, just imagine if right now that person walked through the door and they were everything that you ever imagined that you can have in a mate. How would that make you feel? You would be inspired getting up, going to work. I mean, every time you see their phone call, every time you see a text message come in, an email, you would just get all giddy in the inside, right? If you don't share that experience with the person that you're with or anybody from your past, then like I said, you have settled. Now, here's the ultimate question. Now, you got that person written down. You wrote down a few little character traits that person will have. Now, the ultimate question, especially for the ladies that are watching this, is where do I find this person? Well, guess what? That person is everywhere. When you write down your temptation, it serves as your compass. What is your compass? If you got tall, dark, and handsome, but the last guy you gave your number to was short, bald head, and fat, then you've settled. Because that person might be a gentleman. That person might have approached you the right way. That person may have done everything. But if they don't share some of the qualities that you wrote down on that piece of paper, then you're setting yourself up to settle. Seriously. Think about it. Because the first time you guys get into a rift, the first time you get into a disagreement, the first thing you're going to do is attack their flaws that they had. And they had those flaws when they met you. With your short, fat self. They were short and fat when you met them. That's your fault for settling for somebody who happened to be short, fat, and nice. Short, fat, and a gentleman. That's your fault. With your little skinny self. But you wrote down somebody muscular. Well, you settled for somebody skinny. That's your fault. Now, these things may seem superficial, but they're absolutely not. Yes, people, things change about a person, but when you initially meet someone, there are certain things about that person that make you say, wow, I really am attracted to this person, right? Just like the person that you wrote down on that piece of paper, whoever that person may be, there's something about that person that made you pick that particular individual over everybody else that you could have written down. Now, here's another question that you might be asking yourself. Can you have multiple temptations? Absolutely you can. But let me tell you how this works. You can have 100 temptations. But there is something about those individuals that you like. So figure out what it is about those people that you like and pull that component out. So let's say you like the way Denzel Washington walks, but you like him to look like Will Smith. But then you want him to be educated like Barack Obama, but then you want him to have the spiritual side like a T.D. Jakes. Okay, those are different individuals that we named, right? But there are different characters that you like out of those individuals. Okay, so I want you to make sure that you stick to your temptation. Now, when you're out in the streets, this person can be anywhere, at the grocery store, at the gym, at church, but now you have a compass. Keep that with you. Memorize it. It's what you've written down. It's really from your heart. Here's the curveball that I want you to really think about. Your temptation is actually really a reflection of you. If you think about that person, now we're not talking about the exterior. I don't want you to, if you're a small petite woman, I don't want you to date a small petite man. If that's not what you want, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the character traits that you wrote down. Those things where I said just jot down 5. Those are really a reflection of you. If you're not romantic, then why would you date somebody that's romantic? If you don't like long walks in the park because you're allergic to grass, then why would you date someone who loves being outdoors? You have to date someone that's like-minded. You have to date someone who enjoys some of the things that you enjoy. Now, there'll be some things within the relationship that you're going to explore together, but there are also some things that you absolutely cannot do. This person's favorite food is seafood. This is all they eat is seafood. And you're allergic to seafood. That's going to be a problem in your relationship because you can't even prepare a meal for them because you can't touch seafood. Those are things that are very, very, very important. Now, before as you're sitting there watching and saying that sounds so superficial, think about some of the things that you settled for in your past relationships. Right. If you can go back, that's what I call a red flag. If you can go back now, everybody can say they can go back now and say, if I'd have known this, I wouldn't be with this person. If I'd known that, I wouldn't be with that person. But now you have the history of being with that person. You know, a lot of you that are watching this have children by this person, have debt from this person that you know good and well, looking back on it now, you could have avoided a red flag because you did not stick to your temptation. Now, I know, of course, this is the first time you heard about dating your temptation, but now that you have this knowledge, nothing about you and your choices from here moving forward into the future you should fail. You should never fail with this information that you have now. Now, here's the number one thing when it comes to dating your temptation. You have to believe. You know how you look right now? Whatever flaws, you know, especially the women that are watching this, you guys beat yourself up. Oh my God, you beat yourself up so bad, it almost makes my skin crawl. But it's funny because flaws and all, each one of you at least have had at least one person to approach you as you are, without losing weight, without changing your hair, without a certain type of wardrobe on that you think that you need in order to attract a man. You at least have one man to approach you and like you just like you are. So that means you are acceptable. You don't have to change anything about you. That means you are acceptable. Now, of course, if it makes you feel better to change those things, that's one thing. But I hear this all the time. Women feel like they have to get themselves together before they attract a certain man. And that's not true. That's not true. Just how you look, just how you are right now, there's somebody out there that's saying, wow. And right now in their temptation to say, I want this, I want that. And you represent that particular person. So just like you have your temptation, you got to think about this. You are somebody else's temptation as well. You're everything that they've always desired in a mate. Everything. Everything that they can think of, you're that person. But the number one thing that you have to do after you write your temptation out and you make it plain, and I don't care if your internal list of integrity and things like that are 100 things long, you have to believe that you can have this person. A lot of you don't even believe that you deserve a too good to be true. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Haven't you been through enough in your past? Haven't you suffered enough in your relationships? How come you don't deserve at least one too good to be true? How come you don't deserve a relationship that fits you perfectly? Why don't you deserve that? I think you do. You have to believe. I can believe on this side of the camera, but I need you to believe on that side wherever you're watching this video. You have to believe that you deserve a too good to be true. You had a failed marriage. You had a couple bad relationships. You got a few baby daddies. Whatever the case may be, after all that, you're still standing. After all that, you still have pulled yourself together to even purchase this video and watch this video. That means that you have a little bit of belief. And that's all you need. It's just a little bit. You have to believe that you are somebody's temptation. You have to believe that somebody actually will appreciate a person just like you. Because that's the truth. That is the truth. So as you're getting yourself prepared for your day, think about that. Don't just leave out the house any kind of way. Think about it. Dress accordingly. Present yourself accordingly. You never know. Today could be the day that you actually meet your temptation. And let me tell you this as well. They're not going to want to wait for you to get yourself together. You meet them today, you guys exchange pleasantries and exchange information. They are ready to begin this journey today. They're not waiting on you to get yourself together. Matter of fact, what does that even mean? Get myself together financially. Well, what's the goal financially? Will you ever reach it? Is it obtainable? Is it realistic? I want to go ahead and lose some weight, but you've been struggling losing weight for 10 years. That's not realistic. I want to get my body together. I want to get my skin tone together, my blemishes together. That's not even realistic. If they approach you today, that means they have checked you out and they have accepted you just like you are, flaws and all. So flaws and all, you can actually be somebody's temptation. Just like that person that you've written down, they have flaws too. But the reason you wrote them down because that's your temptation. Because you can wake up to that person every single day and feel that same feeling that you did just by jotting their name down. You have to believe. Thank you again for visiting CoachPraterSaid.com. There'll be more videos just like this, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. I appreciate you. Love you. See you around.